Another new mod has arrived for my Toyota Tacoma, but unfortunately, there is a problem. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Robmotive. Real quick, if you haven't before, smash that subscribe button and click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Well, that's right. A new mod, another new mod for my Toyota Tacoma has arrived, but there is a problem. And it's not a problem, well, there is a problem from the company that sent it as well, but the overall problem is really kind of my fault. So let's take a look. I had mentioned this before, and it is here. You guys can see the box right there. Let's pop some of this out. You probably can already tell what it is. It is the Flowmaster dual exhaust. We've got the old giant muffler in that box. I haven't opened that yet. Hopefully it's okay. I see a little bit of mashing there in the corner. Everything else looks all right, I think. I don't really see any big issues with any of the piping. Nor should I. I mean, it is stainless steel, so unless you really get into it, there really shouldn't be any problems with it, I'm hoping. So, I mentioned there is another issue with it. I'll show you real quick exactly what it is. You can see here on the front of the box, it is the Flowmaster. It says the Performance Technology Company. And then it says Force over there, for whatever that's worth. It should be pretty cool. I've heard from a lot of people on the channel already telling me how nice it sounds. It sounds nice and throaty, nice and grumbly, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Now, I'll say again, I don't expect to get V8 sound out of it, but I do hope to get some kind of a more throaty grumble. Now, I mentioned there's a couple other problems involving this exhaust. Let's take a look over here. I have part of it sitting on the workbench. Now, you guys can see right off, these of course are the exhaust tips, if you will. And you can see here, there is some damage. And that's because they were not, of course, packaged well enough and the tips got scraped. And of course, it would sit like this, and that is right on the top, or at least on the edges where you'd be able to see it. Now, that does leave me a couple of options. One, I could just put it on like it is. And by the way, the other one, I'll show you that real quick here. No issues with that other than a couple of little scrapes. There's one there, something right there. Pretty crappy job as far as packaging goes, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you really shouldn't have issues like that when you order something from a company that really should know what they're doing. I mean, the Flowmaster people have been around for a while. It's not like they're brand new and, you know, a couple guys were sitting around in a room trying to figure out how to do the packaging. So pretty poor, I think, when you still get stuff like this today that's packaged improperly. And honestly, you know, those two pieces were put in the box outside of any other box. So they weren't protected well enough. They did have a little bit of bubble wrap around them, very little. So I'm disappointed at that. But that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is really my fault, and it has to do with the size of them. I mean, look at how big these things are. These things are gigantic. If you just look at this, I think it's 4.5 inch diameter, something like that, maybe even 5. I couldn't imagine having this thing on the back of the truck. I mean, let's go take a real quick look. You can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. If I was to put this thing on the truck, it's going to stick out something like that. I mean, to me, that looks out of place. You know, almost as bad as putting like a diesel exhaust outlet or something on the back of the Tacoma. Just doesn't look very good, and certainly not the look I'm going for. So the reason that this doesn't really matter to me too much is because I am going to put something else on. I am not going to be using those exhaust tips on the back or for the exhaust. I did buy something else, or I have them on order, I should say. They're coming. Of course, they're not here yet. You know, everything takes forever, it seems, to arrive. Although, I will say that exhaust did show up pretty quick. I had it probably within a week or so after I ordered it. And these days, for something that big, I think it weighs 50-some pounds. And probably not too bad. So we'll see. The exhaust tips are from a different company. They are a little bit more subdued than those great big giant cannons. Hopefully that won't affect the sound. That's the other thing that I'm concerned with by going with a little bit smaller diameter. And don't get me wrong, it's not like the replacements that I have ordered are hugely smaller, you know, something like this. They are still pretty robust in their own, but still not as giant as those. And I say it's my fault because they did send what I ordered. I should have paid more attention to the picture because I have seen some trucks with exhaust tips like that on them, particularly Tacomas, and it's not my thing. And I'm not dogging anybody. I mean, again, your truck, your design, do what you like. But for me, while I do want the dual exhaust and the louder sound for a little more aggressive look, I don't want something that's so in your face that, again, for me, it's overbearing. And that's how I kind of see those tips. For me, they're just too much. I don't know. So who knows what I'll do with them. Maybe they'll become decorations in the garage. Maybe once I get the new ones, I will like those, because I will have a second look. Once I have the exhaust on the truck, I will go ahead and at least sit those on the end of the pipes to see if maybe I do like them after all. You never know. Of course, then I'll have another problem, and that is the scrapes that are on them. You know, I suppose I should send them back, get a hold of Flowmaster and say, hey, you know, I got the product and the exhaust tips were not packaged well. Maybe they'll see this video. Who knows? We'll find out if they're a good company or not. And of course, I will report back if by chance they happen to get a hold of me to make things right, because those aren't right. They just shouldn't come that way. So anyway, that's where I am. That is another new Toyota Tacoma mod that has arrived. We have put some on already. You guys, if you saw one of my more recent videos, I did put the single hood strut on. So that means we also have the cold air intake coming, and I may experiment with some different cold intakes too. Now that I have the ability to put on whatever I want and not have to worry about the hood struts being in the way, I might try some others out just to see if I can really get any other kind of sound. I've had a couple of people comment on some of the videos recently, the ones where I've spoken about the cold air intakes, telling me that they're getting some kind of sound out of their cold air intake. I'd be really curious myself to see if that's true. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know what you would do. Even though I am not planning to use, most likely, those exhaust tips that came, would you get a hold of Flowmaster, complain a bit, hopefully have them send you some new ones? I'd be curious to know. Again, real quick, if you didn't in the beginning, right now, smash that subscribe button and click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. I do have 2 additional channels, Robmotive FST, all about full-size trucks, and Robmotive JT, all about Jeep Gladiators. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.